Welcome everyone to the 30th annual meeting of Citizens for Modern Transit. My name is Kim Sella and I'm the Executive Director of Citizens for Modern Transit. We are honored to have all of you with us today. We have FTA Administrator for Region 7, Makti Ahmad. Welcome, Makti. We have with us today the Undersecretary for Policy with the U.S. DOT, Peter Rogoff. Thank you for joining us today. We have our illustrative keynote panel we are very excited to hear from, including MoDOT Director Dave Nichols, St. Clair County Board Chairman Mark Kern, and Mayor Francis Lay. So thank you all for joining us today. In addition, we have Metro and the St. Clair County Transit District who are responsible for our transit system in St. Louis, so we couldn't be here without you, so thank you so much for joining us today. Our elected officials, and last but not least, CMT's members, supporters, and volunteers. We are so excited to be celebrating 30 years of this organization, and it would not be possible without those individuals. So thank you very much for joining us, and the sold-out crowd is an example of just how much you do to help us. Thank you. Special thanks today goes to all of our sponsors of this event. I'd like to thank the gold sponsors, Metro and URS, right up here in the front. Thank you very much for your support of CMT. And I'd also like to thank all of our bronze sponsors. Hold on, this is a long list. We'll clap at the end. AGC St. Louis, CBB, David Mason and Associates, EFK Moyne, Enterprise Holdings, Gamble and Schlemeyer, the Hauser Group, H&TB, Jacobs, the Lockmuller Group, Music Construction, SEIU Local 1, St. Louis College of Pharmacy, St. Clair County Transit District, the Partnership for Downtown St. Louis, and Washington University. Thank you all very much for your support of this event. Almost 3 decades ago, CMT began its mission to bring light rail to St. Louis. Since that time, we've seen 46 miles of track and 37 stations. But we are definitely not at the end of the line. This year, we added to our advocacy efforts and with the help of stakeholders in Metro, led a feasibility study for a light rail station in the Central Corridor at Cortex. Today, we have the opportunity to not only celebrate that and so much more with the award of $10.3 million grant this morning to Metro for the construction of this station and the Central West End enhancements. Congratulations, Metro. We think this is a momentous moment for transit in St. Louis and a great way to kick off CMT's next 30 years. Our work did not stop with the feasibility study. At your place today, you'll find the fiscal year 2014 annual report. This year, we had the opportunity to launch a brand new program in St. Louis called the Try and Ride. We began the program in June, and the entire program is to entice new riders to Metro's and St. Clair County systems. Since the launch of the program, we have more than 600 new riders who have committed to use transit for 2 months. And according to the survey data, more than 80% plan to stay with transit after the 2-month commitment. So we're very excited about the launch of that program. We had passage of form-based overlay zoning this year around the Rock Road station, and we received 4 new grants to link transit and with healthy and active living and also development opportunities around the stations. So please, definitely take a moment to check out your annual reports at your seats when you leave today. Before we invite our keynote speakers forward, I'd like to invite Don Music, the CMT Chair of the Board, to the podium for the awards presentation. And don't worry, he's very giddy today because this is the end of his chairmanship.
Thank you, Kim. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. We're happy to be hosting a sold-out crowd for our annual meeting, and it is just one more indication that we're doing something right at CMT. As Kim said, we have seen some exciting developments in transit this year. We would like to recognize several groups, companies, and individuals who showed exemplary leadership in advancing transit activities in our region. CMT initiated the Best Workplaces for Commuter program in St. Louis this year to recognize employers supporting alternative modes of transportation at the worksite. This year, we would like to recognize our two leading employers for their leadership on our commuter benefits in the region. I invite a representative from Washington University and Microgrid Solar to come forward. Washington University invests millions in its commuter benefits programs, including university-purchased transit passes for all students, faculty, and staff, car sharing, bike racks, and much, much more. Microgrid Solar, with 32 employees, is also leading the way with alternative commute options by enrolling their entire staff in CMT's Guaranteed Ride Home program, offering flex time, telecommuting, and bike racks. They are a small company well qualified to be a best workplace for commuters. And I imagine they're going to become a big company very quickly. Thank you to both of you for leading the way for other St. Louis employers to help move transit forward in the region, and congratulations.
Microgrid would like to thank CMT for this award. We're very excited to be named as the best workplace for under 100 employees for commuters. We really value the feedback that we receive from the application process, and look forward to pursuing this award again next year.
And much to the same, it's a privilege to accept this award on behalf of Washington University and from such a great organization like Citizens for Modern Transit. It takes a lot of people to make this work, and I'm really privileged to accept this on behalf of a great institution. Thank you.
Next, I would like to invite Mayor Carter with the City of Pagedale and Chris Kramer with Beyond Housing to join us at the podium. I think somehow Chris Kramer has turned into Ken Christian. Or should I say, in the way of Hollywood, accepting for Chris Kramer is Ken Christian. We would like to honor their work with the CMT 2014 New Initiatives Award. The Pagedale Board of Aldermen passed an ordinance establishing the E-Transit-Oriented Development Form-Based Earning District in the City of Pagedale on February 13. This process was made possible through a unique collaboration among the City of Pagedale, Beyond Housing, CMT, and Metro. The adoption of this district is a valuable and important step in the advancement of development around the St. Charles Rock Road Station. Congratulations to the City of Pagedale and Beyond Housing on their success in this endeavor.
Thank you very much to the CMT for this award, but moreover, thank you to the leadership and the citizenry of Pagedale for their help and cooperation. They're a fantastic partner, and they help make things happen in ways that are just unbelievable. So we promise to keep working with them to make this a reality. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite one of the most dangerous people I know, Greg Patterson with BJC Healthcare. Also, another dangerous person, Mary Campbell with Washington University, and the ultimately dangerous person, Dennis Lauer with Cortex Innovation Community, as well as Susan Troutman, who is not dangerous and lovely and helpful and always supportive, with Great Rivers Greenway to the podium. I told you I was going to cut up today. This is my last meeting, and I'm going to take every bit of chance I can. This group represents the members of the public-private partnership which worked with CMT and Metro to successfully complete the Central Corridor feasibility study for a new station on the Metrolink alignment. The station will be the first addition to the light rail system since the opening of the cross-county extension in 2006. Today, that hard work paid off with the award of a Tiger Grant to Metro to build not only the Cortex station, but also to provide enhancements to the Central West End station. These organizations provided the leadership, time, and funding to lay the groundwork to ensure the information presented in the Tiger application satisfied the proposal requirements while enthusiastically telling the Cortex light rail station story. Greg Patterson, who sat on a panel discussion on the project in March, stated, quote, "This is an opportunity for the St. Louis region to shine. We need to be leaders on this issue, and this station needs to move forward." It's well said, Greg. We completely agree, and we would like to present you each with the 2014 CMT Chairman's Award for your leadership and efforts on this project. Congratulations. I would ask you all to remain on the stage, and I'd now like to invite Peter Rogoff, Under Secretary of Policy, to join us to say a few words about the Tiger Award.
Well, good morning. And on behalf of President Obama and Secretary Fox, a very warm congratulations, not only to everyone up here on this stage, but to all of you, because these success stories don't happen without the support of a community, and much of that community is represented here at the lunch today. This morning I was able, on behalf of the President and the Secretary, to announce a $10.3 million Tiger Grant Award. Tiger stands for Transportation Investments Generating Economic Recovery, and this Cortex station vision does precisely that. I really want to congratulate the people who have supported this project, because this project was awarded as a result of a competition that could only be described as brutal. We had billions and billions and billions of dollars of very meritorious applications and only $600 million to allocate. But St. Louis came out on top precisely because they had this coordinated vision. The entire development activity in the Cortex District is very, very exciting. And it's bringing together a lot of development visions that both are really about the jobs of the future. And this application so well aligns with President Obama's vision that we should be using these public investments to better create the jobs of the future. When you talk to the folks at Cortex, they will tell you that one of the great challenges of high-tech companies and healthcare companies today is recruiting the brain power that they want, the young millennials with a lot of excitement, a lot of innovation, and also folks who simultaneously expect a public transportation option. And that's what this Tiger Grant does. It provides the public transportation option for Cortex, and rather than have MetroLink pass right through the district without stopping, I predict, over the years, is going to be one of the most exciting, innovative, and busiest stops as the development continues in that district. A lot of congratulations go to a lot many people. But let me make one other very important point. We had a great many applications, not just across the nation, but also from Missouri. And President Obama has put forward a bill to grow America through transportation investment. It's called the Grow America Act. We sent it up to Congress back in April, and it would, among making many other important reforms, make $302 billion of investment fully paid for without increasing the deficit, but also would make other important reforms that include doubling the Tiger program so we could fund more projects like this across St. Louis, across Missouri, and across the United States. Mr. Nichols of MoDOT and I were sitting at lunch together, and we were talking about the challenges in getting a balanced and fully funded transportation program here in Missouri. And the joke was, after today, between this grant and Route 46, maybe we could balance it on the Tiger program. Well, that's not going to happen. I'm glad Missouri had a good day today, but as is true for the Missouri legislature, so too in Congress, we need folks to act to make sure that we have not only adequate transportation funding going forward, but balanced transportation going forward. This morning I had the pleasure of riding over the Eads Bridge. It's 140 years old. It has been supporting rail, obviously, a lot longer than it has been supporting cars. And it is elemental to a larger agenda regarding the state of good repair of our systems. In transit, we have a backlog of at least $78 billion even higher just to maintain the systems we have before being able to invest in their expansion. Something at the Cortex event this morning reminded me of this. It was pointed out to me that they were rehabilitating a building that used to belong to Westinghouse Electric. And all of the telephones that were used in the United States going back decades and decades and decades ago were assembled at that Westinghouse Electric plant. Westinghouse Electric reminded me that in Philadelphia, we have electric substations running trains with Westinghouse Electric equipment that is date-stamped 1939. Now, all of the phones that were made here in St. Louis by Westinghouse Electric are now museum pieces. But in Philadelphia, we're using equipment from that vintage to support 600,000 commutes every day. Investment is needed. Political guts is needed. The Grow America Act is needed. We would boost funding for just the state of good repair many times over to reinvest in our systems to make sure that transportation remains a viable option for the economic growth that we're going to need as we grow as a region here in St. Louis, as a state of Missouri, and as a nation. That is why this project received this award, because as I said, it so closely aligns with the President's vision to invest public dollars for a broader economic growth vision. The missing piece for this whole vision was the transit stop. And now you have it, all through your hard work and the work of the people up here. Congratulations to John Nations at MetroLink. Congratulations to you, Mayor. Congratulations to everyone on this stage. And thanks to all of you who have supported these people in making this happen. Thanks very much.
I would now like to ask another very dangerous man, John Nations, with Metro to step to the stage.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. This is indeed a great day for St. Louis and for our entire region. I want to extend my personal appreciation to Undersecretary Rogoff for taking time out of what I know is an extremely busy schedule to be here in St. Louis. He has been a very good friend to us at the Bi-State Development Agency and Metro Transit for many years that he has been at the FTA. I always kind of tell a funny story. I was in my current position about 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm sitting in my office. My assistant walks in and says, "Mr. Rogoff of the FTA is on the phone." And immediately I thought, what did I do now? But Mr. Rogoff, who was head of the FTA at the time, we had an issue in St. Louis. He had personally attended to it, called me to assure me that it would be corrected, and it would be corrected immediately. It's that type of response, that type of customer approach, which makes him such a great leader and makes that department so effective. For me and my team, thank you very, very much. I would also like to take this opportunity, what makes days like this great? It's always rewarding to compete and know you can compete nationally and to win awards like this for your town. But what is also even more rewarding for us is that we work every day to have a company that the people can be proud of. My team is right here at the front table. Ray, raise your hand. Ray Freeman is head of transit. He is one of the best in the country at what he does. The rest of our team is tremendous, but also it's about the partnerships we build. With the City of St. Louis, Mayor Slay is such a strong supporter. St. Clair County Chairman Kern is so great. So on a day like this, it's not just about Metro. It's not just about a station. It's about an entire regional effort from Metro to our funding partners to Cortex to the City of St. Louis, all across this region, people who put forth a tremendous amount of effort to make sure that we succeed. So for me, on behalf of my Board of Commissioners and our agency, thank you for the partnerships, and I assure you we look forward to a very bright future for our region. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, guys. That is a momentous moment for transit in St. Louis, and congrats again, Metro. I would like to take this opportunity to publicly thank our team of volunteers that are here today, including the 10-toe walk leaders. If MetroLink monitors, please stand and be recognized. Our programs would not be a success without you, and thank you very much. We now have a short business meeting to elect the members of the Board of Directors before our keynote address. Mark Long, would you provide the nominating committee report, please?
Thanks, Don. The nominating committee of the Board of Directors has met and would like to nominate the following people to 3-year terms on the Board of Directors. Terry Briggs from the Laborers Employers Cooperation and Education Trust, Katie Forrester from Kreutzer and Ormsby, James Fredericks from Polsinelli, Karen Hageman from Cortex, and Jennifer Obertino from URS.
Okay, is there a motion? And a second? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much. Now like to, the motion has been seconded and all in favor, we voted, so they are elected. I would like to call a caucus of the newly constituted board for the purpose of electing officers. Mark, you're back at it.
Thanks again. I'd like to nominate the following as officers of the Board of Directors. Rose Windmiller from Washington University as chair, Jim Fredericks from Polsinelli as vice chair, Nancy Cross from SEIU Local 1 as vice chair, Lynn Tenges from AGC St. Louis as vice chair, June Fowler from BJC Healthcare as secretary, Nicole Young from Lion CSG treasurer, Don Music from Music Construction Company past chair, and Mark Vogel from Great Rivers Greenway, an at-large member.
Once again, is there a motion? And a second? All in favor? Opposed? The slate of officers is elected. Thank you, Mark, for all your hard work as well as the work of the nominating committee, and congratulations to the new board members and to the new officers. I would like to thank a few individuals who have served on the CMT board for a number of years and will be retiring this year. Grace Corbin and John Gerst, thank you for your time, dedication, and commitment to CMT and transit in St. Louis. John served tirelessly on the CMT board as well as had the distinct honor of, that's in quotes, John, of being chair of the CMT Finance Committee. Grace's leadership as chair during the 2010 Prop A campaign was essential to our success, and I was humbled to follow in Grace's footsteps, daunted, in fact, as chair of the board. Please stand so that we can take a moment and thank you for your efforts on behalf of CMT. Thank you very much. I'm now going to turn it back to Kim, who will introduce our keynote panel. Thank you.
I stapled the script this year so we couldn't mess it all up and we wouldn't get lost at where we were. We are really excited to kick off 30 years of Citizens for Modern Transit work in St. Louis. And today we have a unique opportunity to hear from our elected officials their vision for transit for the region moving forward. We have with us today MoDOT's Director Dave Nichols, St. Clair County Board Chairman Mark Kern, and the City of St. Louis's Mayor Francis Slay. If you'd all like to come up to the stage, that would be fantastic. Unfortunately, County Executive Dooley could not join us today, but thank you all for joining us this morning. It's like an island up here, so we're all trying to stay on and not fall off, so please be very careful. First, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Dave Nichols, the MoDOT Director, and he's going to give us his vision for transit in the future. And this would be the department's vision and Dave's, and it's been a pleasure working with you last year.
Thank you, Kim. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Obviously, I was hoping to be here and obviously it's a celebration with the Tiger Grant that we're getting for the Cortex project, but I was really hoping that we were going to be celebrating the passage of Constitutional Amendment 7. But it is what it is, and Constitutional Amendment number 7 did not make it through. But what I want to talk about, I always try to find the positive out of those types of initiatives that happen. What are the lessons learned out of it? And there's a few things that I want to mention because we have some special people here who have been instrumental in helping get funding, transportation funding, and not just highways and bridges, but comprehensive transportation funding discussions at the state level. And those of us who work at the state capitol a lot understand that transportation discussions have historically always been about roads and bridges, especially in the state capitol in these one-on-one conversations every year. And last year, started a year before, but really last year we got very much into a comprehensive discussion about funding for all modes of transportation at a state level in our state. And the discussion was about how do we do that? How do we get that through the legislative process, as complicated as that is and cumbersome as that is, but get something out there that really represents what the consumer is asking and demanding from us. And as a part of that, MoDOT was charged with going out and talking to Missourians all over the state. Many of you in this room were involved in our comprehensive transportation planning process that was called On the Move. And we went around and talked to literally thousands of Missourians about what transportation means to them. And sometimes when you're talking to Missourians, really transportation doesn't come to the forefront until you really help them understand really what it does mean to them. Their kids moving to school, their kids going to college, and those kinds of things. Their employees, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that, how our employees get to the business place, not just moving our freight and our components from our manufacturing companies out of our plants and manufacturing facilities, but how do our employees get to work? How do we have a reliable transportation system that isn't just about cars and isn't just about roads and bridges? And we had a very good conversation, a very bipartisan conversation in the legislature this past session. And I want to say a big thank you to a lot of people in this room for helping us, because there's people in this room that were at the legislative process every day when we needed people there to talk about other modes. John, thank you, John Nations from Metro, Kim and your folks. The Missouri Public Transit Association was very instrumental. The Citizens for Modern Transit were very well represented. Susan, the folks related to the bike ped facilities, aviation, ports had a big representation. And having those people talk about the importance of intermodal and multimodal transportation in our state was very instrumental in really educating our legislators. And I want to say a big thank you to you for that, because where we're going to be now is going back to the legislature again and continuing this conversation. We can't quit. We still have this problem. We still have this problem in our state. As I was talking to Peter at the table, is we are one of the, I'll say, too many states that has very little public transportation from the state level that goes out to our communities around the state. And many states have a very comprehensive state funding package for transportation for multimodal purposes in their state. And Missouri is one of the few that do not. And what Constitutional Amendment 7 actually brought to the table was an opportunity for Missourians to have a conversation and ultimately vote on it. And I believe we had a very comprehensive package that Missourians had a chance to vote on. There's a lot of issues that happened associated with the timing of the constitutional amendment and the election, et cetera, that we can discuss and debate over time. But the point is that I believe what you did as a community to help us get this package put together was very, very well done. Ed, you and the MPO, East-West Gateway, and the processes that we went through, I know there was a lot of teeth gnashing that went on because it was such a new process. But I really want to say thank you on behalf of all of us at the Highway Commission and those of us at MoDOT who got to see this happen really on the front lines. And it was really a very comprehensive package that Missourians got to vote on. And so we'll be talking about this more and more as we move forward. As a matter of fact, I've already had a workshop with our Highway Commission, and then we actually met last Wednesday. We actually had a Highway Commission meeting in St. Joseph, Missouri, and had another discussion with the Highway Commission to really prepare our MoDOT and Highway Commission agenda to talk to the legislature when they come back in January about transportation funding at the state level as we move forward, because we still have this problem. We still have this problem of transportation funding needs across the state level for all modes of transportation. So I want to encourage you, I keep telling myself, don't get down too much because it is a tough issue that we're dealing with. But we're going to keep talking about it, and I do believe we have some support. I've talked to some key legislators, and I do believe there is an appetite to talk about transportation funding as we move forward. I don't believe there's going to be anything big in the next year that's going to come out. I don't think anything for the next few years will go to the vote of the public. I think you can only do that so much, so much intensity there. But I do believe there might be something that can happen at the legislative level. So we will continue to talk to the legislators. Obviously, we're going to need you at the table because it'll be very easy for the conversation to move towards funding through fuel taxes and things like that would be very focused on roads and bridges. And I want to encourage you to help us make sure that we continue this conversation as a comprehensive conversation about all modes of transportation. And I'll be pushed very hard through the legislative processes. Let's just do a short-term fix or a quick fix and go do something maybe at a fuel tax level. And we know that the fuel tax increase based on existing constitution can only be used for roads and bridges. There's some issues, there are some other areas with safety issues with railroad crossings and those things. But we really need the help to push the comprehensive conversation on all modes of transportation. So please help us do that as we continue this dialogue and continue the conversation. I also want to say a special thank you to Mayor Slay. You talk about somebody who really stepped up, and I look around the room, and the people in this room know how the mayor stepped up and was very, very supportive of the processes that we went through with Amendment 7 and the project prioritization process. So Mayor Slay, thank you very much for your leadership. I know it was very, very difficult, very hard to do that, but that leadership was very, very helpful, and we can't say thank you enough. So quickly, what are we going to be doing moving forward in MoDOT right now? Again, we're going to continue to partner. I was talking to Susan a little bit earlier about how we can utilize our MoDOT right-of-way, and I know she's already working with Greg Horn and the staff here in the St. Louis region for utilizing the MoDOT right-of-way in a way that allows multimodal use. In this case, the Great Rivers Greenway to be able to use our facilities for biped facilities and making the connections, and we're committed to that. We're going to stretch and we're going to push hard to find ways to fund all modes of transportation, and we can't give up now. These kind of things come up, and I'm enthusiastic, I'm tenacious, if anything, and we have to keep pushing, or we'll go back to where we were before, and none of us want to do that. And I can tell you the commission is committed. We're very blessed. I also wanted to mention, I don't know that if word has gotten around here, but Governor Nixon has reappointed Brian Scott to the Highway Commission, the quality manager from Boeing, so I hope everyone will, when they see Brian around St. Louis region, congratulate him on being back on the Highway Commission. We're very excited to have Brian on the Highway Commission, so very, very good there. So where's MoDOT focus going to be right now? Well, obviously, our issues are continuing to partner with you, our partners in all modes of transportation. Obviously, we've got a lot of things that we've got to work on our roadway areas, and the funds are limited. And as I was talking to Peter also, is that we're only 2 years away from not being able to match our federal funds, which creates a lot of challenges based on federal funding levels that we assume are going to happen. And so we've got a lot of challenges at the state level to be able to match federal funds, but we're going to keep working through our legislature to make that happen. So at the state level, there's a lot of challenges. We're going to keep working with Congress on reauthorization. These short-term fixes are really not the thing that we need to have, although we'll continue to plan for the future. And so you'll probably see a lot less of our major projects, more of our what we call our preservation work that you see around the region. But I want you to know that we're partners in this, and don't let us miss these opportunities as they come up, whether it is to fund a project or to support a project through our elected officials in Congress and write letters of support as we did with the Cortex project. because I believe it helps with our partnership when Senator McCaskill and Senator Blunt are talking to the administration about how important these projects are to our regions. And so thank you very, very much for your support, and we're going to keep moving ahead for transportation all across the state. And we have a lot to do, so hang in there with us, and there'll be more to come, and we'll be in touch with you. So thank you all very, very much for having me.
Thank you, Dave, very much. We're going to save questions. We're going to take a couple questions at the end. Now I'd like to introduce St. Clair County Board Chairman Mark Kern. Mark's going to give us his Illinois perspective on the future of transit in the region.
I'd like to first of all, thank the CMT board and congratulate them on their 30th anniversary and all of our 30th anniversary with transit. We started with Metro and we continue today in a great way. My table emptied out not because I got up here to speak, but because Dolores Lizakowski and her group had to go back to run the Redbird Express for the ball game. So we do love you here in St. Louis, and we love our baseball team. I'm glad I got up here before Mayor Slay. Speaking of sports, I'm going to be the first one to say the Rams are going to make the playoffs this year. Sorry to steal your thunder, Mayor. So we're here talking about transportation. We all know that transportation is the second highest cost that we all have in our lives. And so access to affordable transportation is what it's going to take to grow this area. It's about jobs. And whether we're in Illinois and we talk about Scott Air Force Base or East St. Louis or the communities in between, they all rely on transportation to get to jobs and to get to commerce. Mayor Slay gets it, the Secretary gets it, our President gets it, Claire McCaskill gets it. Today, with a big announcement on the Cortex station, the Sarah station, things are happening. John Nations gets it. And so, and Governor Quinn, our governor in the state of Illinois, gets it. He funds transit on our side of the river. We're very fortunate that we get state funding to help us with Metro. But this isn't a new idea. We're sitting here in the Statler Hotel, or what was the Statler Hotel. It sits here because of Union Station, and because this is where rail came. When you wanted to go to Chicago from the area, you got to Union Station and you went to Chicago. Right now we're talking about high-speed rail to take us where? To Chicago. So the template is there. In Illinois, when we wanted to go to St. Louis, what do? We got on a streetcar. We got on a trolley. In Missouri, my grandmother's grandfather was a streetcar operator on the Hodemont line. So I know the same thing happened here in Missouri. You got on a streetcar, and it took you to jobs, it took you to commerce, it took you where you needed to go. So the template's there, but we've got to correct some mistakes that were made. So it was popular back in the 50s and the 60s to make passes at communities, and whether it was a bypass or an overpass, they would tend to go around or they'd go over. Well, now we've got to get to the point where we're going back through again. So we're putting stations in neighborhoods where people who are seeking transportation to get to jobs, to get to commerce, live and work. And that's big, and that's why you're here, and it's extremely important that we realize that we're talking about economic justice. We're talking about giving people a chance and an opportunity to get to jobs and commerce so they can make a way for themselves and for their families, and whether it's getting to educational opportunities or getting to work, rebuilding these job centers is what we have to do, whether it's Missouri, Illinois. We're all together in this battle. We need to get together and fight for the funding it's going to take to make it happen, because if we make it happen, we make this region stronger. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Kern. Now I have the distinct honor to introduce Mayor Slay and hear his vision for the city of St. Louis with regards to transit.
Well, thank you and good afternoon. And I, first of all, just want to thank everybody here and the organizations that you represent for the leadership that you provide in helping, first of all, support this organization and in building a vision and then advocating for making that vision become a reality. This is hard work, as my colleagues mentioned as well. and it does take a lot of us working together to make this region more connected, to make it a place where it's easier to get around in. So for that, I thank all of you. Certainly want to thank the board and congratulate all the awardees as well for all their efforts. For the last 30 years, the Citizens for Modern Transit has been a central player in developing public support for a steadily evolving and expanding bi-state system of light rail and other transit. That system now has 37 stations, metro stations, as well as over 46 miles. As we celebrated with some of the the awards this afternoon, we just announced, of course, it was just announced that we received a $10.3 million Tiger grant for a metro station in the Cortex district, which is something that, when up and running, is expected to be one of the very busiest in the system, and I think that's something we can be very proud of. CMT's also played a key role in rescuing and sustaining transit in the region. Of course, we don't forget that when Metro faced a financial crisis that could have ended transit as we know it, CMT helped save the day. All of you in supporting this organization helped the whole region understand that some of us ride transit, but all of us need it. But let's talk about Amendment 7. I know Dave mentioned that as well. The August vote, of course, was not a good one in terms of providing the funding that is necessary to really build the vision that we all want to see. And while it was defeated overwhelmingly, I think it really, even in defeat, I think Amendment 7 really helped the cause of urban transportation and was an important step forward in addressing this very difficult issue. What needs to be done basically on a statewide basis. It really allowed us, I know in the St. Louis region, to really include in our vision for more state funding a total transportation plan that wasn't just about highways and bridges, and Dave said the same thing as well. I think that was an important state first step in moving towards, I think, a better funding plan statewide. CMT's endorsement of Amendment 7 was unpopular, I know, with some in the community. I even think some that support the organization and members of this organization, but CMT did exactly what we needed to do to break through on urban transportation. CMT took a long-term view on how to solve a very complex problem, and even the best advocates understand that progress with transit is really a step-by-step approach. It requires patience. The surest path, of course, is working together. We are not working in a vacuum. We are working in a broad state with a lot of different interests and people with a lot of different perspectives. We have to understand, we have to have a shared interest in helping each other meet local transportation needs. And let's look at the future. We are building a total transportation plan for the city of St. Louis, and here are some of the values that we really want to advance. First, as I'm sure everyone in this room believes, that building a quality transportation system isn't just about connecting dots on a map. It's about making sure that we build more livable communities, more vibrant communities, and that includes access to opportunities, and that's what Mark Kern was talking about as well. Concentrated poverty is one of our major challenges in St. Louis, and that doesn't just include the city of St. Louis. Transportation is a major part of the solution to that issue. Poverty is a product of isolation. Transit helps us eliminate isolation. Transit offers tangible, practical proof that we are connected, and we should be. Transit helps us put education, training, jobs, and cultural resources within reach of everyone in our community, particularly those who need it the most. Transportation is key to creating opportunity for good-paying jobs. Highways, bridges, rail lines, and river ports connect this city with its workers, goods, products, and to the world. Cities succeed when our streets are vibrant and well-maintained, and pedestrians safely can walk on broad sidewalks in all parts of town. Cities succeed when its people stay healthy by being active, when pedestrians are able to walk to a grocery store, a restaurant, a coffee shop, a library, and an urban trail. Cities succeed when sidewalks and street crossings are accessible to all, including the elderly and the disabled. Cities succeed when cyclists safely can share the street with motorists and people can easily call a cab or, yes, share a ride to get where they need to go. Cities succeed when our major transit investments are smart, affordable, sustainable choices. And that starts with the fundamentals. We must make sure that Metro service for transit-dependent citizens is adequately and reliably funded. And nothing matters if we fail to do that. And also, as Dave mentioned as well, getting state funding, trying to get more state involvement in what we're doing here on a local basis is very, very important. It happens in communities all over the country. We could use the support here we all know that the city of St. Louis is a huge economic engine for the entire state. Being competitive as an economic engine really relies heavily, for all the reasons I just said, on what kind of transportation system you have, how connected you are, how you can get your goods to market, how you can get people to their jobs. And transit is the most important component of that. So with transportation, the future of our region and indeed the state is at stake. With transportation, there is so much opportunity for us to be even better as a community. So here's how we can build our transportation investments. Here's the kind of advocacy we need to help reach our goal. We must work together as a state and region. Our rural and exurban neighbors have different transportation needs and interests than we do. We must be sympathetic to those differences, and we must be willing to work with one another. We also must broaden our advocacy horizons. The best transportation advocacy looks beyond technical transportation issues. It searches for opportunities to solve other problems in local government, problems that keep us from making transportation investments. As transportation advocates, in other words, we must understand and help solve what is holding us back. We must push broadly for the region to work smarter and better together. We must show the connection between good stewardship and having more resources to invest in things that matter the most. If we want more resources for transportation, we must work on problems that are diverting resources from other things we need. And I think, again, we need to take a broader regional approach to a lot of things that we're working on here, because what happens in one part of our community impacts the entire community. And I think what we're seeing in Ferguson is really bringing that to the surface. That there are a lot of very significant issues here that are not going to be solved in isolation. They have to be solved by the entire community working together. And the same goes with transportation. It is one of the things we need and matters the most. So with the leadership of the Modern Transit, I have, and all of you here, I have every confidence that we are going to solve these very difficult problems. We're going to do better in the future, but we do have a lot of work to do. So thank you all for your involvement and support and leadership, and look forward to working with you on a lot of good things in the future.
Thank you very much to all of you. Are there any questions? Okay. All right. Well, thank you to all of you. We know moving transit forward in this region will require leadership, and I think what we see here are some great examples of transit champions in our community that we should use moving forward. I'd like to we have a couple more moments. I know we're a little over time, but just a couple more. I'd like to take a moment and thank the CMT staff, Lenora Fisher and Lisa Cagle, if you could stand. Lots of times I go to events and people say, people will say to me, well, you must have 12 or 15 down in that office. I say, oh no, 2 to 3, depending on the day. So thank you very much for helping us get done all that we do in St. Louis with your help. Thank you. I'd like to turn this over to Rose Windmiller now. She's our new chair. We could not possibly allow Don to walk out the door today without a proper roast, a simple going away. As Rose makes her way up here, I have to say I have worked for Don for 4 years. It has been an exciting trip, very adventuresome, I must say. Don works every day to keep anyone he works with on his toes. Just yesterday, he called the office and said, okay, it's my last event, Kim. I'm coming in jeans and a sweatshirt. I'm like, that's great, Don. I'll wear my toga. We'll look good together in the picture. So I'm going to give it over to Rose and let her proper roast.
Well, as usual, everyone leaves the stage when I enter. Actually, I was a little worried that Don wasn't going to spend today, as this was not going to be his last meeting. When I heard the very weak slate of nominations, I heard no one say for the officers, you know, no one seconded, and I had to grab Don because I know he was going to second it, even if it was inappropriate, because he's not going to spend another year as chair. He's already told me that. So anyway, I appreciate, Kim, you allowing me to take this opportunity to give Don a send-off, because he's a wonderful man and he's a really great leader. And as many of you know, leadership doesn't sit well on everyone. It's a difficult mantle. True leaders build consensus from conflict, stability from chaos, and collegiality from antagonism. Leaders are not born, but rather grow into their mantles by listening to and emulating leadership skills of others. Don, you are the very essence of a great leader, fearless in the face of adversity, yet always willing to change course should it be required to move an objective forward. You are the bright star that has guided CMT through the turbulent years of the waters of the last 4 years, and I really have learned much wisdom from you. I also have appreciated your wit. You constantly are razzing Kim and I and Nancy Cross, who's another redhead, about our hair, even though, quite frankly, all of it comes from a bottle. You kept us on our toes, and this organization owes you a great debt of gratitude. I offer my deepest gratitude for your many years of service as the board chair, and on behalf of the CMT board, thank you for your service. As one of your great idols, John F. Kennedy, once said, as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. I promise to lead by your example as we work to move transit forward in the region. You can't leave just yet. We will continue to seek your assistance on the executive committee as past chair, and I would like to present you with a small token of the board and the staff's appreciation. So come on up and say your last words.
Well, it doesn't look like a small token. Kim wrap this? So, that is absolutely beautiful, and it is made up of quotes from very significant people on the board, and I will treasure this for quite some time. Thank you very much. So there's not I can't follow the brilliance, certainly, of Rose Windmiller as the new chair, and certainly not of the three brilliant gentlemen, or Mr. Rogoff here today, any of the people that have spoken. But I can tell you this. The last 4 years, and I was, by the way, told it was a 2-year term. The last 4 years, I have never, and I've served on a lot of boards, charitable, institutional, corporate, and I have never, seldom in fact, seen a more dedicated board, a more passionate board, a more brilliant board, and a more loyal board. And I am very, very grateful for that loyalty to me personally, certainly, because I don't think we could have done what we've done without that loyalty and that team-oriented passion and dedication to this very, very important mission and cause that CMT brings to the table. I frankly had no clue, and Kim, I can't even remember, we were talking about it before the meeting, how long it's been since I've actually sat on the board. I think it's 10 years or more. Kim is trying to tell me it's 8, but then again, she thought a 2-year term was really a 4-year term. So the board has been tremendous, and it's been my honor to serve as its chair. It's been my privilege to make these relationships, what started as business relationships and board relationships, have turned into very close friendships. And I think that always tells you exactly what kind of passion and like-kind dedication you're dealing with. John Nations, the same way. You've been a great friend, and we've weathered a lot of different hills to climb, and I see nothing but more successes like today. We're all delighted that this award and this grant came to St. Louis at, I think, a very important time for St. Louis. We haven't had a lot of good news this summer, and this is very, very good news. And I think it shows when a lot of people get together with like-kind aspirations, what they can accomplish in a very tough time in Washington, D.C., a very tough time in the country, and certainly a very tough time in St. Louis. So, and then it comes to all of you, because without all of you, the volunteers, the staff, and I won't forget them, Lenore and the staff are unbelievable. Without all the hard work and without all of the support and the volunteerism and the outreach that you all in this room and others who can't be here today have brought to CMT, I'm quite sure that this grant might not have come our way. I'm quite sure that the success in 2010 would not have happened. And certainly Amendment 7 was a disappointment, but we had a disappointment in 2008 and one in 2010. So we're all about taking disappointments and turning them around and winning them. And I think this board will continue to do that. And I think this entity will continue to do that. The staff will continue to do that. And I think all of our team partners with Metro, with WashU, with BJC, with the municipalities, with, and I don't want to forget Southern Illinois, Mark, in any way, shape, or form. The fact that you're here today shows the importance on a bi-state basis of what this means to both sides of the river. And I must tell you, Dave Nichols, that when MoDOT had its symposium last fall down at the Chamber, and there was a lot of talk about multimodal transportation, about the river ports, about the airports, about 33,000 miles of roads, and Dave could do this and do the numbers much better than I can. How many bridges over 1,000 feet, the airports, both general aviation and Lambert, all of what St. Louis has to offer in this country and internationally as well are what made it great in the first place as the gateway to the West. And we need not to forget that. And this institute, this entity, CMT, does not forget that. And I think that's what you'll see on the go forward here. I've been very proud to be a part of it. And I thank you all very much from the bottom of my heart for all that you've done to continue this. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. This meeting is adjourned. That was in Don's script, but he skipped that part.